The sky cracked open. Jagged lightning split the clouds above the floating city of Ilera, and a violent gust ripped through the narrow skybridges, tossing crates and scattering frightened people. Rylan Voss gritted his teeth, clinging to a trembling beam as a young girl slid toward the edge. Without thinking, he lunged, catching her wrist just as the wind tried to claim her. "Hold on," he shouted, muscles straining against the pull of gravity and gale. The girl's eyes were wide with terror, her small hands gripping his arm like life itself depended on it. For a heartbeat, the chaos seemed endless, screams, breaking wood, and the roar of wind in every direction. Then a shadow passed overhead, massive and fast, moving too smoothly for a storm to have created it. Ryland froze. It wasn't a bird. Not anything he had ever seen. The shadow dipped low, wings folding awkwardly as if it were hurt, or unsure. Then came the impact. A heavy body crashed near the edge of the plaza, sending a cloud of dust and debris into the air. People screamed and scattered. Ryland's heart slammed against his ribs. He didn't hesitate. Dropping the girl behind a safe wall of rubble, he sprinted toward the fallen creature. Its scales glimmered in strange colors, deep blues, molten golds, and flashes of emerald that caught the light even through the storm. Wings, enormous and ragged at the edges, trembled violently. Its eyes locked on him, intelligent, curious, and frightened all at once. Rylan raised his hand slowly, careful not to spook it. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said, his voice almost drowned by thunder. The dragon, or whatever it was, tilted its head, wings quivering, and let out a low, almost mournful sound. It tried to rise but collapsed again, groaning under its own weight. The storm intensified. Another skybridge cracked in the distance, sending a cascade of rubble and sparks flying toward them. Without pausing, Rylan grabbed a fallen support beam, using it as a lever to stabilize the creature's wing. He could feel the heat radiating from its body, the pulse of life so strong it almost seemed like a drumbeat against his chest. "You can't fly like this," he muttered, pushing with all his strength. The creature's eyes softened slightly, and a strange rumble echoed from deep in its throat. Rylan caught a glimpse of claw marks across its flank, evidence of some recent battle, or worse. His jaw clenched. Whoever, or whatever, had done this would pay if he had to chase them across the sky itself. A sudden blast of wind knocked him off balance, sending his hand sliding along the slick metal of the beam. He almost fell, but a last-second grab from the creature's claw saved him. Its grip was gentle, careful, as if it knew the stakes. Rylan realized something. This was no wild animal. It was intelligent. It was scared. And somehow it had chosen him. "Easy, easy," he whispered. His mind raced. The storm wouldn't wait. Civilians were trapped below. And scavengers, the humankind, not the storm, were already circling from the edges of the city, likely drawn to the chaos, to the creature, or both. Rylan knew he couldn't handle them all, but he could protect this dragon at least for now. He spotted a narrow alleyway leading toward the market district, broken but still navigable. If he could guide the dragon there, he could buy time, maybe even figure out what it was and why it had fallen here. But as he gestured toward it, the creature hesitated. Its wings flexed ready, yet it didn't lift. Not a single inch. Rylan froze, heart thudding in his chest. Why wouldn't it fly? Fear? Or something else? The question hung heavy, unanswered, as lightning split the sky again, revealing the dragon's silhouette, majestic, terrifying, and utterly still. Then came the shock. From the clouds above, another shadow moved, a larger, darker shape, wings spanning far wider than the first. It circled silently, observing. The first dragon stiffened, tilting its head toward the new presence. Rylan's pulse doubled. Whatever this was, he realized the storm was no longer the only danger. He stepped closer to the dragon, voice low but firm. "You can trust me. We'll survive this, together." It blinked slowly, wings trembling, and for a fraction of a second, Rylan thought it might obey. But the second shadow lingered, immense and silent. A roar split the sky, not thunder, not the storm, something far deeper, far older. Rylan's stomach twisted. The dragon beneath him hissed, a warning, and the girl he had saved earlier shrieked from behind rubble. In that instant, Rylan understood. Nothing about this day was normal. Not the storm. Not the dragons. And certainly not him. Yet somehow he knew that if he didn't act now, both the creature and countless innocents would die. With no time to hesitate, Rylan grabbed the dragon's foreleg, ready to pull, guide, and fight, whatever it took. The sky above churned. Shadows circled. And the city below teetered on the brink of collapse. Then the dragon flexed its wings and froze. Rylan felt the dragon tremble beneath his hands. Its wings, massive yet fragile-looking, flexed nervously, ready to lift but held back by some invisible barrier. The storm howled around them, rain slicing sideways, but it was not the only danger. From the crumbling edges of Ilera, scavengers had appeared, humans with jagged metal weapons, eyes gleaming at the sight of the fallen dragon. Ryland's stomach dropped. They wouldn't hesitate. He glanced at the alley ahead. Narrow, winding but solid. If he could reach it, they might have a chance. "Come on," he whispered, voice low but commanding. "You can do it. I'll help you." The dragon's golden eyes met his, and for a brief heartbeat, it seemed to understand. Or maybe it was just assessing him, testing whether he was worth trusting. A crate fell from above, barely missing them. Ryland grabbed the dragon's leg to steady it. "Not now," he growled, then kicked a loose beam at one of the scavengers, sending sparks flying. The sound drew the others closer, their shouts cutting through the storm. The dragon stiffened again, wings twitching anxiously. Ryland didn't wait. He scanned the alley and spotted a broken scaffold. With a surge of strength and speed, he grabbed a dangling rope, swung it over a support, and used it as a makeshift pulley. He braced the dragon's leg against the scaffold, giving it stability. The creature exhaled sharply, a mix of fear and relief. That small cooperation felt like a victory. But victory was fleeting. A scavenger hurled a flare, the tip igniting nearby debris. Sparks leapt, landing dangerously close to the dragon's tail. The beast jerked violently, knocking Ryland off balance. He fell hard against the cobblestones, wind knocked out of him, but rolled instantly to keep clear of the creature's claws. Ryland scrambled up. "Focus," he yelled. "We survive together." The dragon blinked, then slowly lowered its wings again. He could feel its pulse, rapid and erratic. It wanted to move, but something was stopping it. The question burned in his mind: why hesitate when flight was possible? A screech from the sky answered him. Another shadow, larger, faster, darker, sliced through the storm clouds circling the city's edge. The first dragon froze, its body tensing like a coiled spring. Ryland realized the truth. The creature's refusal to fly wasn't fear of height or injury. It was fear of the unknown. Something out there was bigger, stronger, and far older. The scavengers were closing in. Their makeshift weapons gleamed with lethal intent. Ryland gritted his teeth. He couldn't outrun them, not in this storm. But he could outthink them. He grabbed a broken lantern and kicked it into a puddle of oil nearby. Flames erupted, smoke curling into the wind, forcing the scavengers to hesitate. It was a small payoff, but it bought precious seconds. He pivoted to the dragon. "Listen to me. You can trust me. Just a little further. I'll protect you." The dragon's wings twitched, then it lifted slightly, enough that its claws barely brushed the rooftops. Ryland grabbed hold of a thick tendon under its wing, anchoring himself. The creature's pulse was wild, but steadying under his guidance. A tiny glimmer of trust. The alley loomed ahead. Broken walls, overturned carts, hazards everywhere. Ryland calculated rapidly. If they ran straight, they'd be hit by falling debris. But if they zigzagged through narrow gaps, the scavengers couldn't follow. He yelled, "Now. Move." With an explosive beat of its wings, the dragon leapt forward. Rain pelted them, wind tore at their bodies, but the creature moved. Ryland held tight, heart hammering as they dodged falling beams and shattered stone. Sparks from broken electrical wires sizzled around them, igniting small fires. Every instinct screamed danger. Every moment required split-second decisions. They reached the alley, but it was a dead end, narrow, slick, and blocked by a fallen scaffold. Ryland's eyes scanned frantically. He grabbed a loose plank and levered it under the dragon's claws. The creature braced, muscles straining, and slowly rose a foot, then another. Sparks flew. The scavengers shouted from the street below, waving weapons and shouting threats. Then came the micro-payoff. The dragon took a full step into the alley, steadying its wings. Ryland's chest swelled, not with relief exactly, but with a flicker of hope. They were alive. They had bought a moment. That small victory felt monumental in the chaos. But the second shadow above had not moved. It circled silently, vast and imposing. The dragon looked up, muscles tense, and let out a low, wary growl. Ryland's heart skipped. Whatever was up there, it was not a storm. Not human. Something ancient. Something that could change everything. He gripped the dragon tightly. "We're not done yet," he said. His mind raced with plans, escape routes, calculations. But the truth was simple: they were in more danger than ever. And the dragon, his unlikely companion, was holding back for a reason he didn't yet understand. The scavengers began to climb the alley walls, weapons raised. Rylan realized they couldn't stay here long. Every second counted. Every decision could mean life or death. He glanced up at the storm-dark sky, where the enormous shadow lingered, silent but alive, watching. Then, with a sudden crack louder than thunder, lightning struck the edge of the alley. Fire spread instantly, smoke curling around them, and the dragon's wings flared instinctively, half ready to take off, half frozen by fear. Rylan's pulse jumped. He knew this was the moment. The creature would either trust him fully, or they'd both fall. And in that instant, a third, unfamiliar sound cut through the storm. A deep, resonant hum vibrating in the bones, coming from the dragon itself. Its body glowed faintly, veins of light pulsing under its scales. Rylan's eyes widened. He realized they weren't just in danger. They were standing on the edge of something far bigger, far older than Ilara. The alley trembled. The scavengers shouted. The storm raged. And the dragon, still refusing full flight, looked at him with eyes that said one thing. Are you ready? The alley smelled of wet metal and burning oil. Rylan's lungs burned from the smoke, but he couldn't stop now. The dragon beneath him flexed its wings, restless and tense. Its glowing veins pulsed faster with each heartbeat, like a warning. Whatever energy flowed inside it, it was alive, reacting to something unseen in the storm-dark sky. Rylan gripped the leathery membrane of its wing, trying to steady both himself and the creature. Easy, he whispered. We'll figure this out. Together. The dragon's golden eyes flicked toward him, unblinking, and for a moment, Rylan felt a strange understanding pass between them. Not words, not language, just intent. Trust, tentative but growing. Then a tremor shook the alley, knocking loose a pile of rubble. Sparks danced across the slick stones as the scavengers shrieked from the street below, swearing and brandishing improvised weapons. Rylan braced himself, thinking fast. They couldn't fight like this, not against both the scavengers and whatever waited above. He needed a plan. He spotted a broken doorway leading to a cavern beneath the alley. Dark, narrow, and steep, but it would hide them, at least for a moment. This way, he yelled. The dragon hesitated, wings folding slightly, unsure of the descent. But the glowing veins along its scales pulsed brighter, as if guiding them. Rylan took that as a sign and urged it forward. The dragon leapt. Its claws scraped against the stone walls, sending showers of sparks. Rylan clung tightly, heart hammering, as they dropped into the shadowed cavern. Water dripped from the ceiling, hissing as it struck the scattered embers from the street above. The scavengers hesitated at the mouth of the alley, unwilling to follow into the pitch black. Small payoff, a moment of safety but fleeting. Rylan's eyes adjusted. The cavern walls were lined with veins of glowing crystal, pulsating in rhythm with the dragon's scales. The light was faint but alive, reflecting off the wet stone, illuminating a network of hidden tunnels. Rylan's mind raced. What is this place? And why is the dragon so drawn to it? Then came the discovery. As they moved deeper, a low rumble echoed through the cavern. The dragon froze, head raised, wings slightly lifted. A fissure in the wall split open, revealing dozens of dragon eggs, clustered, dormant, yet humming with faint energy. The dragon prince stepped protectively in front of them, body tense, wings outstretched, yet still refusing full flight. Rylan's breath caught. You're their guardian, he whispered. All this, it's why you couldn't leave. The dragon's eyes softened, almost human in expression. A faint rumble escaped its throat, like a purr of acknowledgement. But the revelation brought new danger. From the fissure deeper in the cavern, a faint glow shifted, pulsing differently from the dragon's scales. Shadows moved. Not alive but not entirely inanimate either. Energy waves radiated across the floor, making the stones vibrate. Rylan's pulse quickened. He realized that the dragon's hesitation wasn't just fear, it was caution. Something ancient and powerful was waiting, something connected to the eggs. A tremor shook the cavern again. Water splashed from hidden pools, and the glowing veins in the dragon's wings blazed with color. Rylan's eyes widened. The creature wasn't just intelligent, it was a conduit, a living key to an energy older than the city itself. And he was riding it, alone, in the middle of a storm, surrounded by enemies who wanted the dragon and perhaps didn't understand what they were dealing with. Rylan took a deep breath. He needed to make a choice. The scavengers would not leave. They would come in, risking the cavern's instability. And whatever lay deeper in the tunnels could be as dangerous as any human threat. He had seconds to act. He reached out and touched the dragon's wing near the glowing veins. We do this together, he said. I'll protect you. I'll protect them. But you have to trust me. The dragon's pulse seemed to synchronize with his own heartbeat. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, it stepped forward, letting him guide it deeper into the tunnel. Small payoff. One step closer to safety and understanding, one step toward mutual trust. The deeper they went, the cavern opened into a massive chamber. The ceiling arched high, walls studded with crystalline growths, each glowing faintly. The air hummed with energy, vibrating through Ryland's bones. And then he saw it. A symbol carved into the far wall, unmistakably ancient, matching the patterns in the dragon's scales. Something was waiting here, watching them. The dragon flexed its wings again, ready but still hesitant. Its glowing veins pulsed faster as if reacting to the symbol. Ryland realized, this chamber, the eggs, the energy, it wasn't just a home. It was a seal, a warning, a test. And whatever force had created it was still alive, still aware. A sudden crack echoed from the cavern entrance. The scavengers had followed, reckless and bold, ignoring the tremors. Stones fell. Sparks flew. Ryland grabbed a shard of crystal, using it to reflect the dragon's faint glow and create a dazzling distraction. The scavengers recoiled, allowing him to guide the dragon closer to the egg cluster. Mini payoff, a clever move, immediate survival. But then the pattern interrupted. The walls vibrated, a deep resonance filling the chamber. The dragon stiffened, wings half raised, head low. The symbol on the wall glowed violently. Ryland's heart thudded. This was bigger than any storm. Bigger than scavengers. And now we had awakened it. The dragon let out a low, urgent growl, scanning the chamber. Its wings quivered, ready to leap, yet still held back. It looked at Ryland, golden eyes bright with determination and fear. He understood the silent message. The choice is yours. Will you stay or move forward with me? Ryland swallowed hard. He gripped the dragon tightly. Forward, he whispered. No matter what. At that moment, the glowing veins along the dragon's wings flared fully, illuminating the chamber, the eggs, and the ancient symbol. The scavengers froze, blinded, and a pulse of energy radiated outward. Ryland felt it in his bones, a warning, a challenge, and a promise. Outside the cavern, the storm raged on. Above, the massive shadow lingered, circling. Ryland realized the dragon's hesitation had been more than fear, it had been preparation. Now together they were ready to face what waited in the depths. And somewhere deeper in the chamber, a low hum began, a sound that did not belong to the storm, the dragon, or the scavengers. It was older, smarter, watching, waiting. The cavern pulsed with energy, each beat vibrating through Ryland's chest. The dragon prince's wings twitched nervously, scales glowing brighter with every heartbeat. Ryland's hands gripped the leathery membrane tightly. He had never faced anything like this. Storm raging above, scavengers closing in, and now something ancient, alive and watching from the depths. But hesitation wasn't an option. Not for him, not for the dragon, and not for the eggs waiting silently in their crystalline nests. The scavengers charged forward, stepping carefully through the rubble, eyes wide at the glowing veins on the dragon. They didn't understand what they were facing, humans rarely did, but Ryland did. He took a deep breath, heart hammering, and shouted, "Stay behind me." The dragon responded instinctively, crouching low, wings flicking like a predator ready to strike. Sparks flew as a scavenger lunged, swinging a jagged metal pipe. Ryland sidestepped, using the momentum to knock the weapon away with a sharp kick. Another scavenger threw a torch, setting a small puddle of oil ablaze. Flames licked the cavern floor. The dragon hissed, flames reflected in its golden eyes, and a roar rumbled through the chamber. Ryland's mind raced. They couldn't fight like this for long. The cavern was unstable. One wrong move and the ceiling could collapse. But there was a chance. If he could get the dragon to fly, they could escape, and the scavengers wouldn't follow into the storm outside. He took a gamble. He stepped close to the dragon's side, voice calm but commanding. "You can do this. We're leaving, together." The dragon tilted its head, wings quivering, uncertain. Its pulse glowed faster, veins of light pulsing in synchronization with Ryland's own heartbeat. Something ancient responded to it, an energy that hummed in the chamber, testing their courage. Ryland grabbed a fallen beam and held it like a lever, pressing it against the dragon's massive forelimb. "Step on this. Trust me." The dragon hesitated, claws scraping the stone, muscles coiling. Sparks flew, illuminating the scavengers' panicked faces. And then, a small victory, the dragon shifted forward, enough to clear the first obstacle. But the chamber was collapsing. Stalactites cracked, stones tumbled, and a massive crystal above shuddered, threatening to fall. One of the scavengers shouted a warning too late. The crystal split and fell. Rylan grabbed the dragon's talon instinctively, pulling it out of the path just as the jagged shards slammed into the floor behind them. Small payoff, a life saved, a step closer to freedom. The dragon's wings flexed again, stronger this time. Rylan climbed along its side, moving toward the high ledge near the cavern's exit. The glow from its veins intensified, lighting the path like a beacon. The scavengers hesitated at the threshold, unwilling to step into the full power radiating from the creature. Rylan's mind worked faster than ever. Up, he shouted, pressing against the dragon's wing near the glowing tendon. The beast responded, muscles coiling, wings lifting, pushing against the cavern walls. Rocks tumbled around them as they gained height, barely clearing a collapsing arch. The wind from the opening screamed, carrying the scent of rain and ozone from the storm outside. Then the micro-cliffhanger moment, the dragon froze midair, wings partially extended, eyes flicking to the sky. The massive shadow from before appeared above the storm, circling silently, wings broader than anything Rylan had ever imagined. Its presence radiated power, older than the city, stronger than the storm, a force that dwarfed even the dragon prince. Rylan gritted his teeth. Ignore it. Focus on me. He tapped into every ounce of courage, every calculation from years of engineering and survival. One wrong move, and they would be crushed by either the scavengers or whatever lurked above. But the dragon's hesitation faltered, veins of light pulsing faster, wings flexing fully. It trusted him, or had decided to act despite fear. They soared through the cavern exit. Rain pelted them like shards of ice, wind threatened to rip Rylan from the dragon's back, but he held on. Flames from burning debris reflected across the clouds as the scavengers shrieked below, powerless. The dragon flapped once, twice, gaining speed. Rylan leaned forward, feeling the rush of air, the power beneath him, the pulse of life from the dragon and the storm merging in rhythm. Above, the massive shadow shifted closer. The dragon let out a low roar, wings beating furiously. Rylan gripped tightly. He could feel intelligence in its movements, deliberate, precise, protective. A partnership forged in chaos, courage, and trust. Human determination had won its place. HFY was alive in every heartbeat, every decision, every risk taken. But then came the unexpected, a tremor in the storm itself. Lightning struck near them, illuminating the shadow's face briefly. Enormous, serpentine eyes glowing faintly, studying the dragon and human alike. Rylan's chest tightened. This was no mere beast, it was a challenge, a test. And somehow the dragon prince had chosen him to face it. Rylan's hands ached. His mind raced. They couldn't confront it head-on, not now. But they didn't need to fight. They only needed to survive, to gain distance, to escape the storm and regroup. With a sudden sharp dive, the dragon angled toward a narrow valley, wind roaring past them, rain blinding, shadow looming above. Every ounce of Rylan's courage and calculation mattered. One misstep and both would fall. Small payoff. The dragon flapped stronger, muscles responding to Rylan's direction, clearing the valley's mouth. Sparks from lightning danced across its scales, illuminating its power. Rylan realized they were alive. Not safe, not yet victorious, but alive. They had survived impossible odds together. And yet, as they cleared the valley, the massive shadow lingered above the storm, wings spanning far beyond the horizon, eyes locked on the dragon prince. It was patient, calculating, waiting. Rylan's gaze met the dragon's. The golden eyes gleamed, full of understanding and something like pride. He patted its wing lightly. We did it. For now. But he knew it wasn't over. The scavengers, the storm, the shadow above, all reminders that survival was just the beginning. And deeper mysteries, older than Ilera, waited for them beyond the clouds. The storm thrashed around them, rain slicing across the sky, but the dragon prince's wings cut through it with growing confidence. Rylan clung to the leathery membrane, heart hammering, muscles straining, but not with fear. With every beat of those massive wings he felt something else. Purpose, trust, and the power of choice. Together they were more than human and dragon, they were a single force, a bond forged in chaos. Below, Ilera shrank to a jagged blur of lights and destruction. Fires burned along the broken skybridges, but none of it mattered now. Rylan's mind focused entirely on the dragon beneath him and the enormous shadow above. The massive creature followed silently, circling high in the clouds. Rylan could feel its eyes on them, analyzing, testing, waiting. But for now it didn't attack. The dragon prince flexed its wings fully, catching the wind perfectly. It banked to the left, then right, weaving through the storm with agility that belied its size. Ryland's stomach twisted with exhilaration and vertigo, yet he trusted the creature completely. It was still wary, still hesitant to soar freely, but the hesitation had softened. That small shift felt monumental, a first victory of trust and understanding. "Almost there," Ryland whispered, his voice barely audible over the wind. "Just a little further." The dragon's pulse beneath him beat in time with his own, a living, breathing rhythm that confirmed their partnership. Every thought, every action, every heartbeat mattered. Ahead, the valley widened, leading to a plateau dotted with crystalline formations like those in the cavern. Ryland realized this must be the dragon's home, its sanctuary, the place where its kind, or its eggs, would be safe. The thought sparked something deeper in him. Empathy, responsibility, courage. Protecting this creature, even at risk to himself, wasn't just survival, it was choice, morality in action. HFY in its purest form. A gust of wind hit from above. The massive shadow loomed closer, forcing the dragon prince into a defensive angle. Ryland pressed forward, shouting over the storm, "You don't need to fight it. Just fly with me." The dragon hesitated, wings flexing, eyes sharp. Then, with a beat that shook the air itself, it surged upward. They rose higher, the plateau below falling away, and the shadow finally tilted its wings, following, not attacking but observing. Ryland realized the truth. The shadow wasn't an enemy. It was a sentinel, a guardian, ancient and aware, testing the dragon and now him. Their flight had passed the trial. The dragon's wings flexed, veins of glowing light pulsing with pride, confidence and relief. Small payoff, the first real, unhesitant flight, and the shadow no longer threatened. Below, the dragon's nest shimmered, eggs safe, untouched. The storm still raged beyond, but here, in this hidden sanctuary, there was peace. Ryland let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. His hands ached, his body trembled, but for the first time he felt the exhilaration of true triumph. Courage rewarded, trust earned, and the impossible achieved. He looked down at the dragon's face, golden eyes gleaming in the stormlight. "We did it," he whispered. "We survived, together." The dragon exhaled, a low, vibrating sound of contentment, wings folding slightly in relaxation. And then, unexpectedly, it dipped its head toward him, a gesture of recognition, gratitude, and connection that transcended words. Ryland smiled through the rain. This was more than survival. This was partnership, understanding, and respect. Humanity had shown not through strength alone, but through courage, compassion, and intelligence. HFY was alive in every decision he'd made, choosing to act when hesitation would have been safer, trusting a creature that no one else would, and facing impossible odds without surrendering to fear. But the adventure wasn't finished. From the clouds, the shadow shifted again, eyes glowing faintly. Ryland noticed patterns in the pulsing light, signals or perhaps a warning. Whatever lay beyond this storm, beyond the plateau, was watching them. Waiting. And it was far older, far more powerful than anything they had encountered. Ryland patted the dragon's side gently. "Rest for now," he said. "But I think our journey is just beginning." The dragon lowered its wings completely, settling above the crystalline plateau, glowing veins dimming to a gentle shimmer. The eggs stirred slightly beneath the protective glow of their guardian, safe for the first time in days. The storm finally began to subside, leaving only low clouds and rain mist. Below, Ilara's lights flickered, showing the city alive but battered. Above, the massive shadow hovered at the edge of the clouds, patient, observing. Ryland's mind raced with possibilities, calculations, and questions. But one thing was certain. Humans could rise to challenges beyond comprehension, even against forces older than the world itself. And in that realization, a subtle spark of curiosity teased the horizon. What was the shadow? Why had the dragon waited? And what secrets lay in the deeper reaches of the world, beyond the storm, beyond the plateau, beyond even the human mind? The answers were not yet here, but Ryland knew they would need courage, intelligence, and heart to uncover them. He exhaled, letting the wind carry the moment. The dragon had flown fully for the first time. He had survived the scavengers, the storm, and the test above. Trust had been forged. Life had been preserved. And the seeds of something far greater, adventure, mystery, discovery, had been planted. As the dragon dipped its wings in a protective circle around the eggs, Ryland looked to the clouds, where the massive shadow lingered. A faint hum vibrated through the air, almost imperceptible but undeniable. Something ancient awaited. something powerful, and they would have to face it, together. Ryland smiled, a spark of determination in his eyes. "We'll be ready," he whispered. "Whatever comes next, we face it, together." The storm had passed, but the sky was far from empty. A new chapter was waiting, and the bond between human and dragon was stronger than ever. The horizon glimmered with possibilities, and the world had already begun to take notice.